Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and thank you for being here in Soul Talk. Today we have a friend, Karnie Anderson. I met her, she's one of the members of the Healers Helping Healers, and she is really, really magical, guys. So let me tell you a little bit about her before we bring her on. Karnie Kamala is a spiritual mentor, transformation alchemist. She supports clients to meet their shadows and release the blocks that are holding them back into realizing what they really desire. Using the blend of tools, over 24 years of experience in the spiritual and educational realms, Karnie's ability is to guide and support the clients through overwhelming challenges and trauma towards sense of deep connection and love for themselves and nothing else, right? So this is wonderful, Karnie. I really appreciate you coming to Soul Talk, and tell us more about you.
Okay, well, first of all, I have to wipe away the tears. Beautiful, thank you. More about me. Gosh,
Yes.
I've been working in this realm for a very long time now, but refining my gifts over a period of time. So I've always been clairsentient. I've always kind of had spirit talk to me, clairaudient, but I've been working in the last 8 years on helping people to listen to and tune into their own bodies more, to hear the whispers of what their body's trying to say to them, because the soul speaks through our physical body, and the soul sometimes has to get through all of the somatic blocks that we've put in the way through trauma, that's still holding somatically onto us within the body.
Yes, because all the traumas are stored in ourselves and our body.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, they're just a story that we tell, but that story becomes so reinforced over time that it can create really big blocks and unconscious core beliefs for people that they don't even know are there, and they're operating from those 95% of the time.
Yes, I understand that in my experience and what I have observed, the majority of the healers, coaches, energy workers, name it, we passed through a lot of things, traumatic things, to be where we are now, to be in service of others. So can you tell us a little bit about what took you here where you are now?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that I'm far too aware of is that Chiron wound, that wound of the wounded healers, where we've often had something really traumatic happen to us. Normally in childhood, between the ages of 0 to 8, where we're in that energy of feeling, and we don't have any frontal lobe development, so we can't conceptualize and say, is this sensible or is this not sensible? We just feel it and we make meaning out of it, and that's the stories that we create. So for myself, I've carried a wound of I'm not enough, I'm not a priority, and the males in my life are going to abandon me. And I created that story from when I was at least 3 years old. My dad was an officer with the Swedish Merchant Navy, and I absolutely adored that man. He was bit on a pedestal, which is a very dangerous place to put people. But in my little 3-year-old's eyes, he could do no wrong. And when I did my star work, Storyteller, Alchemy, Rapid Recode, I discovered in one of the hypnoscripts, I saw my little 3-year-old self. And she was screaming no, because Dad was waiting for the taxi to come to take him back to sea, and I didn't want him to go. But Mama just had a new baby, so I knew I couldn't make noise. So this little tiny 3-year-old was screaming, but suppressing the scream internally. And I just looked at it and I thought, look, I've always understood as an adult that he had to go away to sea, that he was Swedish. I don't even know if he could work in Australia at the time, but he would have earned much more money. So he was providing for the family. I understood that as an adult, but the little 3-year-old had no concept of that at all. She was just like, Dad's being taken away from me, and he doesn't think I'm important enough to stay. And, so I created a whole script around that. And then, as so often happens when we've got this internal conflict within us, um, that story of not being enough and not being a priority, it played out again and again and again. But once you see something, you can't unsee it, and you then have a choice. And, I had to learn to love that little 3-year-old and to support that little 3-year-old and to rescue her from the story so that she didn't feel she had to keep running that story anymore, and, give her a whole heap of love and soothing. And I could then understand why it was when I had situations where I felt like I wasn't a priority, that this absolute rage came from nowhere. And it would happen so instantly, and I'd go, where was that from? Like, I wasn't even feeling angry before, but was my inner 3-year-old doing a massive big tantrum and saying, why can't you see me? Why can't you see I'm worth investing in? Why don't you see I'm important? Um, yeah, so when you see something like that, you can't unsee it. And like, there are so many stories about that along the way. I actually, my first step into the spiritual realm was through a South American shaman, Tony Samara. And I had joined his workshop and decided that I wasn't going to go. As so often happens when something big's about to change, that
Yeah.
quicker sets in. And I decided I wasn't going to go. Now, I know you understand this. Shamans are the most amazing people. They walk between the realms and they see and feel stuff that we don't have any awareness of. Within about 30 minutes of me making that decision not to go, he was on the phone ringing to check if I was coming. And I was just like, what? But there was something in his voice that sang to my soul. And I found myself being a little duplicitous, putting on a mask and saying, of course I'm coming. How could you possibly think I wouldn't be coming?
That is
And
so
I, I,
funny.
I knew he would be laughing at me, because I knew he knew on some level, even though I didn't understand how he knew. Um, and then he said to me, everyone's bringing a plate. Can you bring some vegan food? I didn't even know what vegan food was. So I said, sure. Shall I bring chocolate? Which isn't quite vegan food. And he just very kindly said, yes, yes, yes. And during that session, we went into meditation. I didn't even know how to meditate. So I was kind of closing my eyes and looking around the room to see if I was doing the same as everybody else. And then his energy hit me. And I began working through the grief of having lost my grandfather at 14. And I must have sat there and sobbed for half an hour. And yeah, I lost all awareness of what everyone else was doing in that point, because I was so entranced in getting rid of my own grief. But when the grief shared, there was this enormous gratitude that came in. There was a vacuum, so it filled the space. And I found myself thinking how lucky I was to have had him in my life, that we used to sit under the stars together for like hours, connecting with the universe, saying nothing, but just watching the stars. He taught me how to catch a basketball and how to swing on a swing. And there were so many things that we'd done together. And I just thought, look, I carry him in my heart all the time anyway. I don't have to be sad about this anymore. So I think that was probably my first awareness. And from that moment onwards, I never looked back. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is so true. As a psychic channeler, I would
Yeah.
like to say this. People think that they can hide things from us.
Oh,
And that's the more funny thing I have seen people trying, and it's
yeah.
like they don't get it that we already know.
Yeah.
Even if they try to hide it, and sometimes they don't even know themselves when we already know.
Yeah.
So it is something that I believe is going to be coming up more. lately
Yeah.
with this awakening that is happening because there are several awakenings, but in this
Yeah.
awakening, in this moment, it is
Yeah.
happening more worldwide, and people don't
Absolutely.
understand how do they know what do they know, but it is
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
That and the difference with us is because we already are aware that we
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And as you said, I'm on the other side of that now. So I'm,
Yeah.
able to tune in like the shaman did. And, the interesting thing is that has one of two reactions in people. They either feel really comforted that somebody finally gets what's going on for them and they're blown away by it, but they're actually really comforted, or they're terrified out of their, out of their mind because how come their masks aren't working anymore?
Yes, that is
Yeah.
so true. What you just said. That is
Yeah.
so true. And the other part, what you just said, it is yes, as a channeler or psychic, we can communicate to our loved ones. It doesn't matter where they are. We
Yeah.
can communicate with them. So that
Yeah.
is something beautiful that gift is for every single human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just not every single human being trusts themselves.
Yeah. In Star, we have a saying that people think it's their loss that unites them with their loved ones, but it's actually our love that unites us with our loved ones. And love knows no boundaries. So yeah, I think one of the most challenging things for people is when they're thinking of someone they love and they suddenly get really overwhelmingly emotional. And generally, that's because the loved one's actually drawn close to them and they can feel their energy. And part of their, you know, um, nervous system has that awareness that they've actually traveled to come and connect with them and how difficult that must be. But our, conscious mind can't quite integrate that in the same way as what the subtle body can.
That is so true. Tell me one thing. I know you work with in somatic and releasing the trauma with shadow work
Yeah.
and so forth. And that's something that many people are afraid of the name for the name shadow work. Even is shadow work, everybody should be doing it, embracing and loving all our parts of ourselves.
Yep.
They're so afraid of some parts of them because
Mm.
again, I hate to call those parts shadow because they're not shadow. This is where is the trauma, is the hurt, is the pain,
Yeah.
is being stored in some parts of our body.
Yeah.
I love the subconscious. That's
Yeah.
why I've been going into more deep understanding more that. That's why I'm in a therapist like you. I am also an OP, so we can transform limitations, so thoughts and limitations, where all this store. But you work also with the body.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about how do you work with the body of your clients.
Okay. So I have got about 30 different processes that I use, but the two main ones that I work with is one's has a look at creating micro shifts within the body to make the body feel safer to opening up. And so that has three stages and it's generally an activation or run over a 21-week period. I've actually got a free session beginning this Monday. So it's the first stage is awareness, where we spend a week just coming to the edges of awareness of what is it that we actually want to change in our life, and not everything at once, only one aspect of life, and just what's our body trying to tell us about that. And it's interesting. I had a friend recently sign up, and she said to me, I had a look at the list of things you sent me, and I thought that I was going to action this aspect of my life. And I've never tapped into my body before. But when I did what you told me to, it was a completely different answer. And I was so surprised. And I think that is the challenge for so many of us. We think we know what we want, and one of the things I love is that spirit has so much wisdom. And, I'll often get whacked on the head by a lump of 4x2, think I'm going in one direction. And they're like, no, that's not the way we need to be going today. Sometimes I have to take the scenic route because it takes me a little bit longer. Um, But, normally I'll get whacked on the head if I'm taking too long, or if I've chosen not to listen, because I'll hear the whispers and, part of me will go, it's normally when I'm driving on the toilet or in the shower and I can't actually action it. So, part of me will go, yes, I get to that. But anyway, so in this program, we go from a week on awareness into a week on expansion, and then finally a week on embodying the shifts in our life. And it's really just about teaching people to be open enough to come to the edges of what feels safe. And to do that, we have to change the neural pathways in our brain. We've got to change the patterns that were set in childhood, from, for example, if I use my story of, I'm not a priority, underneath that there would have been I'm not important, I'm not enough, because if I was enough, you'd stay, therefore I must be unloved, therefore I must be. So we have these layers of emotions on top of a story, and it's about coming to the edge of that and changing it. And so for me, one of the things I like to do, and it sounds really silly, but gosh, it works, is when I'm putting my pants on in the morning, I'm always a right leg person. So I put my right leg in first and then my left leg. When I began the 21 days of activations, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it differently this time. I'm going to put my left leg into my pants first and then my right. It was so uncomfortable early on. And my brain kept telling me, like, this is not right. This is not how we do it. And it didn't feel right and it didn't feel safe. Another one that's a great one to do is to brush your teeth with the opposite hand that's your dominant hand. And it just feels wrong because we're so used to doing things in patterns. But what we're teaching the nervous system is that it's safe to change, so that we can make these little micro shifts and it's still okay. So that's the one type of modality that I predominantly use. And then the other is a process called STAR, Storyteller Alchemy Rapid Recode. And it's 8 very deep hypno scripts where we go back in hypnotrance to presence the child that had the trauma go down for them. And trauma can be passed in our DNA for 14 generations. So that
Yes.
takes us back to like medieval times.
Epigenetics talks about that. There is a science actually
Yeah.
that they talk about that for the people that want to search about it, look into epigenetics, and basically what they saying is that if your great grandmother was
Yep.
having fear of life or men or money or whatever it was, you're carrying it, and your mother carry it, and your grandmother carry it, and so forth. And if you don't fix it, guess what? Your kids are gonna carry it too. So that's why it's
Yeah.
important that we observe those things and we can do something to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. We come in as, I truly believe with the clients I work with that they come in as, what I call the black sheep of the family. They're the ones who've got this soul contract to break the cycle. So in my deeper work, the really deep soul work, we presence the child. We you know, let the child know that we understand what's gone on for them. And then part of the process to learn to become the advocate for the child who had no advocate, to stand up for them and to speak on their behalf to the people who've done the wrong thing by them and made them feel, whether it was inadequate or scared or unsafe or incapable, or not enough. Doesn't matter what the story is. Like there's thousands of stories that we can tell about ourselves. And then the most important part of the process is we rescue the child. And we build a strong connection with that child. And the child, is often seen as the shadow self. I like to look at it more as it's an unclaimed part of self. It's a part of ourself that we don't quite accept and we will often make wrong. And that child just wants to be loved. If you came into a room and you saw, one of your own children or a child absolutely devastated and crying their eyes out, you wouldn't go up to them and say, don't stop, stop crying. You don't need to behave like that. You'd go up and you'd soothe them and you'd comfort them. And that's what we need to do learn to do with our own inner children. So I find that when I do that work with people, um, their whole life's transformed because the stories that they've told about themselves in the beginning of their life, and often, as you said, generationally, because I've got a generational story about women not stepping into their potential. I can see it for as far back as at least 4 generations. Um, and, I know I've come to break that pattern, and I've come to break that pattern for my ancestors so that they can be free of it too, and they don't have to come back and relive it, but also for all generations beforehand as well.
That is so true. And Maury, we're talking about, let's be honest, in the patriarch society that we live.
Yeah.
This is worldwide. This is not about one nation, or there are nations that they have it harder than other ones.
Yes.
Not gonna deny that.
Yeah.
But the women is being oppressed, and this
Mm.
has been for too long, and we're carrying that in the genetic memory.
Yeah.
And many people, I have talked with people, and they tell me like, I don't have any traumas. I am fine. Is that I laugh more from them because they don't even realize that they have the trauma.
Yeah. There's no awareness.
Everybody, trauma is just being born.
Yeah.
From there
Well,
starts, from there starts. Why? Because we were very comfortable in the belly of the mom, and then when we are born, the lights, the temperature, the noise, the doctors or some or babies get slapped in the ass. It's like you just being born and you're already getting slapped.
yeah,
It is traumatic, the birth of the human being.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I know for myself, having done rebirthings, I actually surrogated for a lot of my mum's emotions at birth. I made that conscious choice as I was coming into the world. I didn't want her to be sad. So I would do whatever I could to take away her sadness from her. And I developed a really strong class clown as a result of that soul contract. And I find now that she'll often come in when I need to lighten the load for someone else, but sometimes she'll stop me from having a look at my own truths too. And I've got to be very, very, very aware of her and go, here you go again. I'm on to you. I know what you're doing.
Yes.
Back on track.
And we go back to what you just were mentioning. When we wanted to get out and try different ways, like brushing your teeth with the left hand or the right
Yeah.
hand, whatever you use, getting out of our comfortable zone is the only
Yeah.
way we can expand our conscience.
Yeah.
Because doing the same thing forever in the same way, you're gonna you stuck yourself. That's the same. The block you're putting in your own self,
Yeah.
unless
Yep.
you wanna get out of your comfortable zone.
Yeah. You don't grow.
That you don't have to do it alone. That's why, thank God, that there are coaches and healers
Yeah.
and therapists and name it. There are many people that are here willing to help you, like right now, like you are doing it. But
Yeah.
for our viewers, that they think that it's like I cannot do this alone, or it's too scary to do this alone,
Yeah.
or it's
Yeah.
too painful to do this alone. You don't have to do it this alone.
Yeah.
Like Karen, she do this kind of job. This is one of the jobs that she have,
Mm.
helping you, and so you don't have to do this alone.
Yeah. Like
Because yeah,
too, I find that I had three people reach out to me the other day, all in crisis, really big things going down in their life. And it's funny how people in a crisis will reach out for someone to help them, but they've got this comfort zone, as you said, where they feel safe underneath that comfort zone, and they get to the edge of that comfort zone and they don't feel safe. So obviously they'd passed that level of comfort zone. The crisis was really big. They reached out. The moment they'd had the conversation, they didn't feel like they were in crisis anymore because they'd got rid of some of the toxicity that was, building up within them. And so there was this massive big step backwards for, yep, I reached out, but no, don't really want to do the work now because I'm feeling okay. And I find that fascinating because, as you said, if you don't do the work, nothing changes. The stories are still there running the show, and you're going around and around in a circle. For me, when I did my star work, because to become a facilitator, you actually have to go through the process yourself. I actually signed up as a wounded healer because I thought, oh, this would be a great modality for me to help people. I didn't sign up thinking I needed to do work on trauma. I was absolutely shocked when I saw that little 3-year-old child, because I've worked, or I thought I had, that male abandonment wound for such a long period of time. I've worked that working with the shaman, so that's what, 28 years ago. But the reality is I hadn't got to the 3-year-old, and she was the one who wanted my attention.
And the thing is, people have asked me, is like, okay, when is gonna end the healing? It's like I really do not know. It's like the universe continue expanding.
Yeah.
Why we think we're gonna stop expanding to a certain point if we're
Yeah.
part of the same universe?
Yeah.
So it is. I feel that every time that we go to the next stage in our lives, we grow, etc. We expand into a certain stage, and that stage ended, and then comes the next stage, and the
Yeah.
next stage, we're gonna encounter other things that we need to heal and release
Yeah.
from that stage. That's why they call it another level. How do you call it? What is the?
What you say?
This says another level, another level.
Oh, yeah.
It's like because of that, you're gonna encounter another set of stuff
Yeah.
in every single stage that you go. There are more
And I think
things to heal.
people like us, growth becomes passionate. Like there's um, this real drive to just want to keep knowing more and more and more, because part of our soul obviously was fascinated by the laws of the universe, and this was part of what we came here to do. I was listening to something yesterday that was really interesting by Dolores Cannon, and she was talking about how often women who've signed up to be spiritual leaders don't end up in partnership, because that's their sole purpose in life, and they haven't got the focus to be you know in a relationship, because their work is about bringing consciousness into the world.
It can happen, but it is. You have to have also the male that can fit those shoes.
Oh, absolutely. I just thought it was interesting. Just thought it was
Yes,
really
but it
interesting.
is true.
Yeah,
It
I
is
think
true.
for me, I've got a lot of very spiritually aware male surrogates in my life, so they kind of take the there too. But
Why? That take me to this question: why the majority of the females that the majority of the communities of spirituality, or people that are doing the inner work, it is females. You might find one or two males around there, but the majority are females.
yeah,
Why is that? Because
why
it's
do I?
different. Why
I
is
think more in touch with our emotions and our feelings, and I think we've also got a stronger drive for community. I think that's inbuilt into us. Um, where we also are often the nurturers of society, and in my circle at least, most of the women, their intuition is way more switched on. But I think as societies, you've mentioned, we're a patriarchal society. um, Men are they're trained into being so goal driven. They're trained into being all of the things that are very anti spirituality.
yeah.
So I think
Or an,
they're not encouraged to explore their feelings and their emotions, and let's dive deep into the soul and have a look at what's going on. And yet, look, I find it fascinating. I've had a number of male clients now. I'm working with one at the moment who is just amazing, and he keeps sending me messages and going, "You're not going to believe what's happened." Um, I'm doing this deeper work with you. How come I'm suddenly wanting to cook all the time? Like, how come this is happening? And I'm like, well, you're changing the stories. You're activating your sacral chakra. You're building a stronger relationship with yourself. Food's in the same chakra. It's going to become more important to you. And he's like, oh, this is just mind blowing. And he can't get enough. But he was ready for it. And I think, he'd gotten to the point of being disenchanted with what the shamans call everyday waking reality. And I think a lot of women get there quicker than a lot of men. They get disenchanted more quickly. So they're looking for something, their soul starts asking, not who am I if I wear this hat? What are my achievements? What are this? The soul starts asking, who's the person underneath all these achievements? Who are you really at your core essence? And I think, men are probably more busy ticking those boxes than what women are.
Yes, and I believe it has to do with the patriarch society and
Yep.
the programming that they have. Many, not saying all men or all women. This is generalizing; is never good. But in the patriarch society, they have the entitlement because the ego works in males and females the same way.
Mm.
But for us, it's easier to put aside our ego and do the inner work for the good of the community or the family or ourselves.
Well, we're taught to be self-sacrificing, aren't we?
Exactly, but males it's harder for them to put their ego in the side and say, "Oh yes, I am responsible of this.
Mm.
This is something that I have to work with myself."
Yeah.
So and it goes the same way as like we talked at the beginning, that sometimes they have to encounter deep pain or life and death situations so they can realize that they have to change something in themselves.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. And it's been my mission to be at service of all. And I have learned many lessons in my life that it took me to one of the biggest ones, that it was one of the things that I am a channeler, master channeler, many of you already know. But when I start connecting to the Akashic records, it was a really big change. Because in this one, really helped me and guide me to know what my clients are actually needing. It helped me in my personal life and obviously my clients. Let me explain you a little bit why. We all have patterns, different patterns that we continue repeating and repeating, and we've been repeating it from this life, from past lives, and even galactic lives. But we do not even know why we like what we like. Why is our identity this way or this form? Yes, we can say it is programmed by our caregivers, parents, etc., whoever to take care of us when we were little. But many of those patterns, they're way older. They come from even a past life. There can be a fear-based past life, or it can be from different life experience that we had. And when we get to the realms of the galactic, we've been the star seeds that many of us that is interested in this kind of classes, we've been also programmed, or we have experienced in past lives, in as a Pleiades, as an Arcturian, Syrian, name it. There are many races that I like to talk about it in the Galactic Earth Galactic Akashic certification program that I'm gonna have. That it is a program of 16 weeks. So I'm going to give you a little bit of galactic history. I'm going to explain you about the galactic races. So like that, it will help you, but it will help also your clients to find out from where they come from, what star system they come from, what are the patterns they've been repeating from then to then now, and in these past lives too. And in the Akashic records, there are different chambers that you can go in and do different kinds of healings in there. That I'm going to be teaching all that, not only to be a reader, but also become a healer in the Akashic records, because you can cut contracts and vows, agreements that we all have, things that we have, patterns that we are being repeating, phobias, etc. We understand why we have those kind of phobias. Just to give you an example, I noticed that every time that I was crossing a railroad tracks in my car, I got panic and I was like, okay, but where this is coming from? Before, where I used to live, I never crossed them. Usually it was once every 3 to 6 months, so it was fine. But now that I moved to a bigger city, or to a different city, Santa Fe, every time I cross the railroad tracks, that is very often, I noticed that because it happens over and over and over again. And it's like, okay, let's search. And when I search this in the Akashic records, yes, I have different past lives that I've been actually, the train destroyed my car and killed me. But it was several times, several lives. So it was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me clear that fear against that, because in this timeline, I am safe. There's many guards that if the train is coming, I'm not gonna cross it in that moment, etc. That obviously in that past lives they didn't have lights, so I was not gonna know when the train was coming so easy like now. So this is just an example of phobias that we have that get us in panic or anxiety and so forth, that we can figure it out. So like that we can remove those fears, remove that charge, energetic charge that we have, so we can overcome that and moving forward in our lives. So, and also sometimes it comes, our traumas comes from our family line, that even epigenetics talks about this, that they tell you that we've been carrying the fears of our ancestors. Our great-great-grandmother, she have certain behaviors, certain trauma, certain things that pass it on to our mother, and our mother to us, and we're gonna, if we don't stop it, we're gonna continue passing it on to our future generations. So we will understand easier when we're in the Akashic records, because you're being guided to do all this kind of healings. And also another of the aspects that are going to be working in the Akashic, it is about your business, about the money wounds that many of us have. So you're going to heal yourself and going to help also your clients. You know that your business also has an Akashic records. So we can connect to the Akashic records of your business and ask them, what your business needs? What your business is actually needing from you to achieve? So like that, it can prosper and become successful. The visibility. Many of us, we have the traumas of past lives, or even in this life, about visibility. And more when we're talking about energy and things like that, that I can tell you so far that what I have encountered with me and with many of my clients, it is in there. There is, when we were in past lives, you were a witch, like I was. Of course, the visibility was a big one. I did not want to burn again, or in a past life ended in a mental hospital, because I am a channeler, and I've been a channeler for many lives. So I have to remove those fears and feeling safe in this timeline to say openly, I am a channeler. Don't burn me in the stake, or don't put me in a mental hospital, And those things you can find it for healing yourself and healing your clients, because you can add this as part of one of your modalities, so you can give a better service to your clients. So this program with certification in the Earth Galactic Akashic Records certification starts like the 10th at 7:30 p.m. It is going to be online. You're going to have, of course, recordings. We're going to meet once a week. We're going to be doing Akashic for each of you. You're going to leave with an experience already, because you're going to be doing several Akashic, so you feel already safe and you believe in yourself enough so you can actually implement that in your own business and for your own self. And of course, you're going to have manuals and things like that. So like that, you can have material to continue studying, and meditations and activations that I'm going to be doing for you. So we start on the 10th at 7:30 p.m. and it's going to be online. Thank you so much for hearing me. And this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love.
Yeah. It's interesting. The Chiron wound of the wounded healer is often seen as the dark night of the soul. And, there's this awareness in spiritual circles that the wound is actually a medicine as well too. Like, it's the one that's going to give you answers about the truth of who your soul, your soul and who you really are. And I think so many of us get caught up in having this image of ourselves that isn't actually accurate. At the essence of our being, we really only love peace, joy, personal power. that's the essence of the soul. That's who we are. And, we get caught up in thinking that we're, this role, and we wear this hat, and, we all of these different labels that we call ourselves. That's not who we are.
Yes.
At the end of the self, we're a vessel. At the end of the day, we're a vessel that's expressing love, peace, joy, or personal power.
Yes, like I was talking with interviewing Sophia,
Oh, yeah.
the one that flows with the water, and some
Yes.
people were talking about identity, because in the identity that we all carry different identities, it is
Mm.
basically imposed by others, not
Yep.
really by us.
Yep.
So what we think we are, it is not really who we are. It is something that it was imposed by our family, by our teachers or caretakers or
Yep.
whoever, or husbands, or even the kids. Something that
Yep.
I grew up in a Mexican family, and in Mexico, that is a little bit more chauvinist, and something that they always told you, the roles of the women. You are born to basically to they raise you to become a good wife, a good mother, a
Yep.
good caretaker, etc., etc., and that's your role. And the males is the one, the provider, and this and that. That's his role. But what happened when you don't want to have? Many women now, they don't want to have kids. They don't want to get married. They don't. They're breaking that system, and the
Yep.
system is breaking down. Thank God,
Yep.
because many women should not have kids because they did not have the patience or they did not want to, but they just have them because it was part of the program.
Yep.
And
Or they were caretakers in the family where they looked after the elderly, they'd look after the mother or the father, or,
mhm,
but it was always about sacrifice.
yes, and because that was part of the religion too. More
Yeah.
that you sacrifice, you're gonna be happy.
Yeah.
No, and that's wrong too.
Yeah.
That's not it.
What's another programming?
That's the
Yeah.
programming that
Yeah.
we all have in there. That we search really, dig deep in ourselves, we're gonna find that we have more programming that we even know that we
Oh,
have.
absolutely. Absolutely. And quite often it'll really surprise you and come out of left field. Um, you know, I one of my common terms that I use, and I've had to literally stop myself from saying it, is I used to say all the time that about the carpet being pulled out from underneath me, and my mum used to say it all the time. My nan used to say it all the time, and I'm like, I need to stop that, because really what that's saying is that some unexpected tragedy is going to come into my life, and I'm going to have to cope with the chaos. Why am I spelling myself by bringing that into my life all the time?
Or another saying, it is the bad things comes in threes. So the
Yeah.
first thing happened, and you're looking out, oh, where is the other one is gonna come, and where is another one?
Yep.
Now, my question is, you're expecting it because your intuition is telling you, or your fear is telling you?
Yeah.
And you're
100%.
attracting it, or you are seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And many times it's more the fear that is attracting it.
Yeah. And I think also too, like, in respect to the body, a lot of people don't know how to go into the body and ask those questions. I'm feeling this at the moment. I'm feeling a discombobulation in my stomach. What's going on for me? Is this mine? Is this someone else's? Or is this born space I'm in? And most people don't even stop to do that. They just go, oh, I'm feeling really uncomfortable here. I don't like this. I either, let's step into flight, fight, fawn, or freeze. And those impulses are just, they're ingrained into us, and they go way back to cavemen days, where we're wired to keep our bodies safe. But if we can take that step back and say, I'm noticing this, and I'm just going to be the witness of the process. What's actually going on here? Like, is this something real, or is this a response to something? Am I picking up something from the person that I'm sitting with? Is it something with their energy? Is this? I know when I went to London and I went into the catacombs where they'd killed all of the monks. Um, I have never felt so much fear in all my life. And I could feel the terror of people running for their life before being slaughtered. Places hold memory. There's no way in the world I would ever go to the Holocaust museums, because I know physically my body couldn't cope with it.
Yes, that is funny. But that's another thing of the empaths that we have. That thing.
Yeah.
I remember I went to Los Angeles a few years ago to give a talk, and I went with a friend, and we were checking, okay, what tours we can have, both of us,
Yeah.
and we can check it out here in Los Angeles. And there was a tour for Phantoms,
Yep.
and she told me, let's go. Like, no, I'm not going. And like,
Yeah.
why not? Why not? It's like, why I want to go with the ghosts that I'm gonna feel them, sense them, and I have like a sign out on top that says open, so they're
On the
gonna
top.
like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't mind going to the pyramids and see my ancestors in the pyramids with the Mayas, Aztecs, and so forth. I don't mind them, but
Yeah.
many people in Los Angeles, they
Yeah.
enjoy, like, that's ridiculous. I don't even know why people do that to themselves.
Yeah. Well, particularly if they're trapped souls too,
Yes.
like, yeah. But if you've got like 10, 20 people tapping you on the shoulder saying, I'd like to talk to you, I'd like to, no,
Yes, because you have the sign open. Like, no,
stop.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
Yes, people don't realize that we are magnets, even if you do not know you're a channel or a medium or something like that, or psychic. We are magnets in a way of these beings that they need to talk. They are trapped in the fourth dimension. They can see us. And even if
Mm,
you don't see them or sense them or want to numb the sense of them
mm,
around you, they're going to follow you. Some of them are going to follow you. And you're
yeah.
going to bring them home with
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah.
people don't
And
realize
so
that.
many empaths there, they've been those collectors of people all their life. They've brought home animals, they've brought home, people. They feel other people's, energy so deeply, and it makes them, that they've got this drive within them to want to change things for them. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So that's another one. They have to basically to call us and to remove those entities that they have with them.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't suggest to
I,
anyone to go to those kind of tours.
I just heard that. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's been really my pleasure to have you. But before we close down, tell us about the programs that you're having right now.
Okay. So I have Block to Blessed, which is a free program that starts on Monday, and that's having a look at small shifts within the physical body that create both safety and a regulation and make you feel really grounded. Um, and that goes through the process of developing an awareness, expanding your capacity to be able to allow more things into your life to receive better, and then finally embodying that awareness of receiving. It's basically focused on learning to receive, because I've realized that that's an area that many people really, really struggle with. They're very good at helping others, they're very good at giving, but receiving's harder for them. And then I've got the two main areas I'm working at. Is the other one is STAR, and that's either in a group capacity, which is obviously at a lower price, or in a one-on-one capacity, which is more a bespoke program where that person's story is interwoven into the hypnoscripts. And that one is very, very deep soul work. It's more than 30 hours of work. And which sounds very, overwhelming, but it's not. It's most people can't get enough of it once they started. Um, and so it's about witnessing the inner child, rescuing the inner child, shifting the core beliefs that were created because of that limitation programming, so that people begin to see that they don't have to keep running the same stories. They can actually flip the script on the stories and life can change. And that has a ripple effect of changing their identity and transforming their life. I've had some people do that and have absolutely monumental things come in. One woman had $50,000 come back to her that she was owed, that she'd been waiting for 5 years on, which just blew my mind. But, so many people who've had big, big in their relationships, both with themselves and with others. And the great thing about both work is that there's this capacity to remove the emotional charge of the things that often hook us back into old stories and keep us stuck in cycles. And that's essentially what you want. You want that emotional charge gone, because then, you know, you don't have to keep repeating those patterns again and again and again.
That is so true. I have a question. If
Yeah,
someone wants to sign in and the class already started, can they sign in? They just have to send you a
yeah,
message, right?
of course. Yeah, yeah. And I've also got another one on Friday beginning, so it's a little bit later. That one is a paid container, but it's only a minimal charge. So I think it's 55 Australian dollars, and that's on reclaiming the physical body. So in my work with the Block to Bless, that I thought I was just creating to help people learn to receive, I actually got to realize that I'd abandoned my physical body. And so my work over that period of time has been reclaiming that. So I began with, like, I think I managed 2 minutes on the treadmill when I first started. That was as much as I could do. Then I got up to 7 minutes, and I'm now at the swimming pools for 30 minutes a couple of times a week. So yeah, I'm noticing a really, really big shift as I come back to my body. And part of the reason that I'd left my body behind was I'd fractured 2 ankles and broken the radial head of my elbow. But it was when I broke 3 ribs, I got trapped behind in the trauma of that, because I just felt so powerless. I'm a stomach sleeper. Couldn't even go into my bed and sleep of a night time. I had to sleep in an armchair for 4 months. So
Yes.
yeah, we do leave parts of ourselves behind in, things that are difficult and challenging. And that's what trauma is. It's actually a challenging situation that's created a nervous system response that stayed stuck in your body.
Now, for our viewers, if they already started the classes, you just send a message to Karen,
Yeah.
and that will help you. She will help you to go into those classes and catch up. You can do that. She has some paid ones and some free ones. I highly recommend you to check that out. And remember, you can see she give a talk in the Make Healing portal that I highly recommend you to see. That is also in this podcast. Her information to contact her is gonna be in the description of this video. And remember, guys, you have any questions or you have any suggestions to have more Q&As or something like that with Karen, comment in this podcast, so like that we can have those conversations that you are needing to, and share it with your friends, because maybe some things click on you, but maybe your friend is needing the same information. So share it with your friends, please. We really appreciate you. This is Monica Ramirez from Soul Talk. Thank you so much.